Chapter 17. Shaking off the water on his body, Zheng Tan picked up a stone to drive the noisy parrot away. He put the key and access card back on his neck, slid down the tree and ran towards the Zhao family's building. He jumped up and swiped the access card, running all the way to the 5th floor. Because it was an old building, many residents kept their grill doors, including the Zhao family. However, the grill door lock was broken. The Zhao family's building was safer, and since it was on the 5th floor, most people didn't come up, so it was never repaired. The wooden door was enough. The grill door was open against the wall, so it didn't block people from entering and exiting. Because it was old, there was a lot of rust on the door. Zheng Tan jumped onto the grill door and hooked onto the grill near the door lock. He clung to the grill, then raised his leg and pushed against the wall. The grill door brought Zheng Tan to the door, and the rusty axle made a sharp squeaking sound. When Zheng Tan was about to insert the key into the lock, the door opened from the inside. Exin borrowed Associate Professor Zhao's computer last night to write her thesis. She didn't fall asleep until dawn and didn't wake up until she had to pee. She got up and went to the bathroom. As she lay on the sofa in a daze, she heard the noise at the door. She jumped up and ran to open the door without even putting on her shoes. Mr. Zhao said that the grill door would ring when his cat came back. Exin didn't understand the connection between Mr. Zhao's cat coming back and the grill door ringing, but when she opened the door she knew what it was. She was stunned. In front of him, a black cat was hooking onto the grill with its paws and legs. There was a key in its mouth, and the grill door was creaking as it approached the door lock. Zheng Tan obviously didn't expect to see someone at home. The cat looked familiar. Zheng Tan tried to recall who the person in front of him was, while Exin was still in a daze. For a moment the man and the cat stared at each other. In the end, Zheng Tan remembered the identity of the person in front of him. When Zhao Yuan secretly took Zheng Tan to the Zhao Pa's office, the Zhao Pa had told him about Exin. At that time, Exin was leading undergraduates to the public laboratory with samples. The Zhao Pa pointed at the window and told Zheng Tan. Since he knew the identity of the person in front of him, Zheng Tan didn't ask any more questions. The person who could come in must have been approved by the Zhao Pa. If the Zhao Pa's approval, then the person must be trustworthy. Zheng Tan jumped off the grill door and went straight to the sofa. To make it easier for him to sleep, Exin put all the snacks on the sofa on the chair next to him. Zheng Tan looked at the snacks that had been moved and counted them. She was instantly satisfied when she saw that none of them were missing. Exin was still standing there in a daze. Although he had recovered from the scene at the door, he was shocked by the situation on the chair. When he called Mr. Zhao yesterday, Mr. Zhao told him not to eat the snacks on the sofa. If he wanted to eat, he could eat the snacks in the second compartment of the fridge. Mr. Zhao also told him not to eat the snacks on the sofa. Exin didn't understand when he was on the phone, but now he understood. When the cat was staring at the snacks on the chair and nodding its chin, it was actually counting the snacks. Zheng Tan ignored Exin, who was in a daze. He was very hungry now. He bit open the plastic packaging of the pudding and ate it. Exin looked at the black cat lying on the sofa and eating the pudding. His face twitched. Then he moved to the bedroom and called Mr. Zhao. Zheng Tan listened to the sound of the phone call from the bedroom. Exin took the phone and said, "Oh oh." Then she turned on the speaker. Zhao Pa's voice came from the phone. "Black charcoal answer." Zheng Tan looked up and said, "Wow, Exin. That sound was a bit special." "Sounds good," Zhao Pa said. Then he asked Exin to turn off the speaker. He still had some words to say to Exin. Exin held the phone and answered respectfully, but the expression on his face was very helpless. He hung up the phone and went to the kitchen to boil water. He pulled out a white plastic basin from the basin rack and washed it. Before Exin went to graduate school, he heard people say that it was best to choose a mentor who was old enough to not have a pet at home. That way he wouldn't have to take care of the children and pets. At that time, Exin thought they were just joking. He didn't expect it to be his turn now. He didn't need to take care of the children but the pets. While adjusting the water temperature, Exin thought, "I won't be sent to take care of pets often in the future, will I? When Mr. Zhao comes back, I must apply for a raise." When Zheng Tan walked into the bathroom, he looked at the water in the basin. He raised his hand and touched the outside of the plastic basin to test the temperature. It was neither hot nor cold, just right. No wonder he was a researcher. He had a good grasp of the temperature. Zheng Tan looked at the special shower gel next to the plastic basin, the towel folded on the low stool and the hairdryer. He jumped into the plastic basin with satisfaction. He rubbed the fur on his head with the water, then put his chin on the edge of the basin and closed his eyes to soak in the bath. Exen, who was standing at the door, felt like 10,000 alpacas had galloped 100 times in her heart. He had seen relatives who had cats bathe their cats until their hands were bloody. This was the first time he had seen a cat enjoying a bath with its eyes closed. It was indeed Mr. Jiao's cat. When Zheng Tan felt that the water temperature was a little cold, he was ready to get up and wipe his fur. However, when he turned his head, he saw a sesame-sized bug floating on the water. Its legs were still moving. Against the white plastic basin, the bug was quite eye-catching. Exin, who was at the door, was calculating the time. He could estimate the temperature of the water in the basin without a thermometer. He wondered why the cat hadn't come out yet. He took a look and saw that the black cat was staring at the plastic basin angrily. What's going on? Exin recalled Mr. Jiao's words. He didn't miss anything, but he was still worried. He carefully moved over. Soon Exion's eyes fell on the bug on the water. As an expert in picking out bacteria, Exin naturally couldn't miss a bug. Damn it, a flea. What if there's a flea? Kill it. And then? He didn't know. Exin was hesitant. He ran to the bedroom and called Mr. Jiao. 5 minutes later, Exin came to a cabinet and opened it. There were some household chemicals in it. There were 2 bottles of insecticides. One was a relatively famous pyrethroid insecticide and the other one was nameless. Exin was looking for the nameless one. It was probably one of the results of a joint research project between the Department of Biological Sciences and the Department of Chemical Sciences. At this stage, only some insiders had access to it. Exin sprayed some insecticides in several places in the house, as Mr. Jiao said. As for Zheng Tan, he changed the water and soaked it again. The most annoying thing was the fleas. There were fleas in the bushes around the residential area, but Zheng Tan had not run into any during her stay there. She did not expect that she would run into some fleas during this long trip. It must have come from the bushes in the suburbs. Zheng Tan killed the fleas in the water with his claws every time he found one. Zheng Tan didn't even let go of the fleas that were suspected to have drowned. Zheng Tan repeatedly soaked in the water for 2 hours before he came out and rolled on the towel. Exin dried his fur with a hairdryer. Black charcoal. Mr. Jiao said that the insecticide is running out. He asked you to find someone to get more and apply some ointment on your fur. Exin didn't know why Mr. Jiao said that. He just asked him to follow the cat. Exin cried for herself. Taking care of a pet was more tiring than writing a paper. After his fur was basically dry, Zheng Tan shook his fur, walked to the door and looked back at Exin. Exin remembered Mr. Jiao's words. She quickly put down the hairdryer and followed him. She took the key and opened the door. Zheng Tan led the way and Exin followed him. Exin was full of doubts. However, in front of a cat it was obviously useless to ask. It was also uncomfortable to keep it in her heart. Zheng Tan went down 2 floors and stopped in front of a house on the 3rd floor. Here? Let me ask. Before Exin could finish her words, Zheng Tan jumped up and hit the grill of the house with a volleyball smash. Bang! Exion's hair almost stood up. Although he didn't know who lived here, he knew that most of the people living in the neighborhood were seniors. He couldn't afford to offend them. A list of names appeared in Exion's mind. Now Exin only hoped that the person in the house was not one of those people. Zheng Tan didn't care what Exin was thinking. He hit the door 2 more times, louder and louder. After the 3rd hit, someone finally responded. Coming, coming. Knock 3 times. Do you think I'm deaf? It sounded like an old man. It seemed that the voice was familiar. Exin was nervous. The door was opened and the grill door was opened. An old man with a serious face appeared. Seeing this person, Exin felt cold in her heart. Lon. Professor Lon. Looking at the serious-looking old man in front of him, Exin had the urge to turn around and run away. Unfortunately, Zheng Tan ignored Exin and walked in. He was not afraid of this old man. This old man owed him a favor. The interior of the house was very simple. There were water stains on the floor. Although Zheng Tan had just taken a shower and dried his fur, the fur on his feet was not completely dry. There was some dust on his feet when he went downstairs. At this moment there were muddy footprints on the floor. Little bastard. I just mopped the floor. Professor Lon scolded. Jing Tan pulled his ears and ignored him. He walked straight in. Professor Lon stared at the back of the swaggering figure and looked at the cat footprints on the floor. He turned to Exan and said, "Wipe the floor later." Exan,